Hi, everybody. Kristen Cooper, your mortgage gal. Today, I'm excited to have Thomas Gutierrez on this call. We're going to be talking about everything renovation and what is a renovation, when you should consider a renovation, a lot more conversation around this topic lately. So we really want to just kind of dive in deep and give you some information so that we can go from there. So thank you so much for being here, Thomas. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to talking about renovation products with you.
So maybe we could start with, what is a renovation loan?
So, renovation loan is when a borrower, let's say they own a home right now and they need to get some remodeling done. So, they want to finance maybe some remodeling of the kitchen, the bathrooms, maybe add a room, add a bathroom. The most popular thing right now is adding an ADU. These are these types of programs where they can get it financed. They don't actually have to pay anything out of their pocket. And what's nice about them is that you're able to use the value of what the actually home is going to be worth once they actually do these improvements. Now, it's also available for purchase transaction as well when a borrower finds a home that maybe just needs a little TLC and they're getting a good deal on the home because maybe the seller has reduced their price. And so they're able to walk in and do a renovation loan to maybe make it the kitchen of their dreams or, be able to fix up that master bathroom. Or even, like I mentioned, ADU, you can even add a swimming pool, spa, you can finance solar. There's so many different things that you can do with a renovation loan.
Yeah, I mean, and that's true. There's so many options. I've been in the business over 20 years, and it's funny, I still get people that say, renovation would be great, but I don't want to do an FHA loan. And so there are a lot
Right.
more programs other than FHA. The most known one is the 203K, which is an FHA loan. But you don't have
Correct.
to do an FHA loan. You also have them for, conventional VA, USDA as well, correct?
Absolutely. There's several different types. Back in the day, there was just only the FHA 203K. And there's two types of it. There's the streamline and then there's the standard edition of the 203K. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac got into the mix of renovation loans here recently, probably within the last 5 to 8 years when they jumped in. And they're a little bit more lenient. They allow you to do swimming pools, spas, outdoor kitchen, the things that borrowers see on HGTV. Those are the things that you could do under the conventional renovation product. FHA, you could do some, but they keep it real basic. You can't do a pool or spa. They consider those luxury items, but you can remodel your kitchen, add new carpet and do the basic things, AC, air conditioning, heating, add a roof, that type of stuff. And then also VA got into the mix. VA allows the borrowers to use renovation, but they only allow you to go up to $50,000 on renovation for VA. And then USDA follows that same suit. And keep in mind, VA and USDA, they're 100% financing. So they do allow you to purchase a home with little down, but they do cap you on your renovation piece.
Yeah, VA is huge. I'm a first responder advocate. My husband's law enforcement military. I was law enforcement. And so this is really
Right.
huge because usually, 50,000 is actually goes a long way for cosmetic repairs. If you find a home that you really love, but it just needs some updating, it's a great program
Hmm.
because, like Thomas said, it lets you use the after improved value. So even if you put zero down, you could put the zero down, but it'll allow you to include the upgrade still. So a great option for sure.
Absolutely.
So maybe touch on that just briefly, and you kind of did it. Lets you, use after improved value. So really, that means, you have the purchase price and you have the upgrade. So what does that mean, and how does that work?
Okay, so we'll talk about purchases first, and then we'll talk a little bit about refi. So for the purchase, for the borrowers, when they purchased a home and it needs some work done to it, they're buying it at a certain price. Now, what the work that they're going to do to it, maybe they're going to remodel that kitchen, maybe they're going to put a pool in it, maybe they're going to put an ADU. Automatically, that's going to increase the value of the home. So the borrower, yes, they're getting a steal of a deal, but they're able to finance these items that is going to allow them to do these improvements to the home. So when the appraiser goes out there and appraises the home, he's not appraising the property based on how the property looks today. He's going to be basing that appraising that property based on the bid that we're providing to him of what work the borrower is going to do to that home. And so he's going to then come up with the value and say, oh, they're remodeling the kitchen. Oh, they're remodeling the master bathroom. Things that bring value to the home. Those are the comparables that he's going to look for. So the majority of the time, borrowers, when they do a renovation loan on a purchase, they actually walk into the home with great value with what the improvements that they've done. So they walk into a home not at 100% on the value. They actually walk in, and sometimes they have some equity already based on their improvements. Now, look at refinances. With refinances, borrowers go to and get a home, a loan, and it's based on how the property looks today. Now, with a renovation loan, you're able to go off of the value of what the home is going to be worth after those improvements are done. So the borrower has a little bit more spending power. And let me talk a little bit what I mean by that is if you do a normal loan, you're capped at 80% loan to value, okay, on a cash out transaction based on what the home is worth today. If they do a renovation loan, they're able to go up to 95% of what the home's value, what it's going to be worth once those improvements that they want done. So it allows them to not be capped at 80%. It allows them to do much more to their home, maybe remodel the bathroom, things that they didn't think they could do. The renovation loan allows them to do that.
Yeah, that's a big one right now, in the environment. It really depends on the environment you are. I mean, I still think we have great rates, comparatively speaking, but they are
Absolutely.
higher than they were. We're not going to
Hmm.
see twos again, but a lot of people want to do upgrades to their home because they don't want to move. And they're limited, getting a second
Correct.
mortgage rates are, quite high on the second mortgage, but they're kind of stuck in that window of, okay, but rates are really low on my first mortgage. And if I get a second mortgage, yeah, it's going to be a higher rate. But the bigger thing is that you're capped, like you said. I mean, most of the time you're capped at 80%. Some guidelines allow you to go higher for a second, but really you can't do them because you hit a APR fee tolerance. So really you're capped at
Sure.
80%. So it doesn't give you enough money to do all the upgrades that you want to do. And this is an option. So it's a great option to consider for that, which is really cool. So maybe if you can talk
Absolutely.
about, and I know, there's so many different programs, whether it's conventional, FHA, they all have their restrictions and their allowances. But maybe if you could talk about what can and cannot be included. And you kind of touched on ADU, which is really, really big right now. So maybe if you could chat a
Mhm.
little bit about that as well.
Sure, absolutely. So with FA, and I'll kind of talk about a little bit. Mostly the most popular renovation products is FHA and conventional. Quite frankly, conventional more. We do a lot of conventional product just because the borrowers are pretty much able to do anything they want done to the home, like a swimming pool, spa, things of that nature, where FHA doesn't allow. So we tend to do more of that, and so really, conventional is really open to remodeling the kitchen. You can finance, if they do a full kitchen remodel, you can even include the appliances in the full kitchen remodel. Now, if you and under FHA, you can as well, but you have to do a full kitchen remodel. That means full demolition of the kitchen and starting with cabinets and countertops and so forth. So you can really do anything you want to do with either product, as long as, of course, you stay within loan limits for both within pro program, and high balance loan amounts are available as well. But talking a little bit about the improvements that they can do, ADUs is, like you said, it's very, very popular right now, and it's been really popular since actually COVID went into play. A lot of people are putting in ADUs on their home because they're bringing in their in-laws or they're bringing in their kids to move into their property. So the problem that you want to look for when you're going with an ADU is whoever's going to build that ADU, find out how long it's going to take to complete the job. Because with renovation loans, they do have only 6 months to complete the work, but that starts once the loan has funded. So once that's funded, you have 6 months to complete the job. So you want to make sure that you're dealing with a contractor who's able to complete that in 6 months. Sometimes what may happen is you may have to order those permits during the transaction and then fund it once you actually have those permits in, because that does speed up the time frame. You may have to order those permits ahead of time to be able to close and be able to complete that job within that time frame.
Yeah. And the other thing, kind of mention just roughly is that, it does have to, almost always has to be a contractor that does the work. It does have to go through a contractor
Correct.
approval process to make sure that the contractor is, licensed, in good standing, is, the work that he does is within realm of the work that he's going to be doing. But the contractor, there is, depending on the scope of work, there is going to be an agreement of how they're paid too. So, typically, and maybe you could touch on this a little bit more, but typically, from my understanding, the hard costs are typically paid at closing. And then depending on how long the work is going to take, there may be what's called draws. It just means that they're paid along the way as work is completed. So it's important to know and talk with the contractor and make sure they're going to be okay with that as well, because they're paid the final payment when a appraiser comes out, confirms all the work's been done, and then they're paid the final payment, correct?
Correct. That is correct. In talking a little bit about the general contractors is we recommend borrowers to work with a general contractor. It makes their life a lot easier, and you being the loan officer as well. because if they're using different contractors, you have to gather paperwork and bids for each additional contractor. And let's face it, they're not sitting in front of a computer desk like me and you do. They are actually out and about in the field getting their work done. So it takes them a while to be able to make those adjustments to the bid or make any adjustments done to the paperwork. Under all of the renovation products, the borrowers chooses who they want to use as their general contractor or their contractor they're choosing. They don't have to be Plaza approved or FHA approved or even conventional approved. But you definitely do want to look at for a contractor that has been doing this for a while. You definitely don't want a brand new general contractor because we do look at the experience of the contractor. If the borrower is doing $100,000 rehab onto their home, we want to make sure that this contractor has done that before. We definitely don't want to have somebody doing that type of job when maybe they've only done a $20,000 renovation job. So definitely kind of quiz your contractors. We will have a checklist that we do go through, so we can send that to the borrower, or you can send that to the borrower to go over that with the contractor. Now, one thing's for sure is the contractor is if they haven't been exposed to renovation loans, they're going to have lots of questions, and we will work as a team to be able to answer any of those questions and make sure that they're comfortable in how it works. Because correct, there are draws in the process. So once the loan has funded, we open up and release the first draw. So that way the contractor can start the renovation. Okay. And then during the process, depending on how big the job is, there could be up to 5 draws. And so we will go over that with the contractor before closing so they understand at what point they're going to get the next draw to be able to continue and work with them on the borrower's renovation.
Yeah, and I mean, just a broad overview of the process really then is, depending on if you're refinancing or purchasing. If you're purchasing, we do the pre-approval with rough numbers up front. So we'll say, okay, what's an estimated amount of work that needs to be done to this property? And then we can kind of give you a ballpark of numbers that you'd be looking at based on, okay, the purchase price is 400,000, the work is 50,000. We do a calculation to let you know what all those numbers are and the down payment that will be required, because the down payment is going to be based on, you're going to have your purchase price plus your renovation, but then also there's a calculation based on what the value is going to be and what our max loan to value is. So we do all that work for you so you don't have to worry about it. And then you can kind of have an idea of what you're looking at. And then let's say you put in an offer, they accept your offer, and your purchase price, let's say, is the 400,000. Well, you need to get a bid pretty quickly if you haven't already. So you need to meet with the contractor and get an actual bid amount, which is going to be used for the process. And that needs to be what's agreed upon in the work that's completed. And so as far as the process timeline really is going to be some requirements that you need as far as getting the bids quickly so that we can get the appraisal ordered quickly so that we can get all the numbers for you. But we help you through that process. Absolutely. So it's not much different than a normal purchase other than you need to meet with a contractor right away and get a contractor bid so that we can, get all the numbers, but also make sure that they're aware of the whole agreements and timeframes moving forward. And then after you purchase the home, meaning that you signed all the final documents, the seller signed all the final documents, you now own that home, then the work starts from there. So the renovation work will start from there, depending on the contractor agreed time frame that the work needs to be completed is when the work will be completed, and then everything officially closes. So it's like a normal purchase in the sense that your loan closes, everything starts on that normal 30, 40 days, whatever time frame it is going to be. That's your normal purchase, and then the work completes after. So don't get overwhelmed by it. We're here to walk you through the process. That's why I have Thomas here. He's one of our account executives. As a broker, we have different wholesale lenders, and so he's one that we use for renovation and other programs as well. He's amazing. So we'll be here to be able to walk you through it. And then on the refinance, you just give me a call and we talk through what you're trying to accomplish and figure out what we need to do. And then again, you get a contractor bid, and then we can move forward from there. So pretty simple. Yeah. Anything else that you can think of that we should add to the conversation for someone that's thinking about doing a purchase or refinance renovation?
I actually there is, especially specifically on a purchase. Borrowers need to make sure that when they're looking for a home that they're maybe considering doing a renovation on, they would definitely want to look for houses that have been on the market for some time that maybe have reduced prices, because you definitely don't want to use a renovation loan where a seller is maximizing their profit, because there is no equity there to be able to basically include any repairs or improvements that the new borrower wants to do. So you want to look for homes that have been on the market, sellers have reduced the price, they're getting a steal of a deal. Work with your realtors on that. They know what they're looking for and they can find you those homes. Those are the ones that you want to use a renovation loan on. So just be mindful of that and making sure that, when you're looking for homes that way, you're not looking where the seller is maximizing the profit. You got to make sure it has some equity in there to be able to qualify and start doing some of the renovation pieces that you want done.
Yeah, and depending on the market that you're purchasing in, which right now it's super low inventory, you're gonna have to look at homes that have been sitting for a while that need some TLC. Maybe people are overlooking and just using a renovation loan, it'll be the perfect dream home for you. Those are the ones, yeah. And I'm glad that you added that because that's going to be a huge thing to consider when you're using these type of programs. So that's great. Now, I mean, if you found a home and let's say that it was, fine, and the seller wasn't willing to allow you to do a renovation loan, or it just hit the market, and so it's not one that we can consider, doesn't mean you can't do a future refinance renovation. So you can always look at that. You could just do a normal purchase as long as there's no health and safety issues, and do a cosmetic renovation loan down the road, maybe.
And then also want to add, if you find a house that needs a lot of work and maybe you're going to have to be displaced under the conventional Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac's programs, you could actually finance payments of your monthly mortgage payment included into the renovation if you are going to be away from the home, meaning where the contractor is not going to be able to have the water on or electricity on. You can't live there. So at least that helps the borrower be able to finance that one month or 2 months, however long the contractor needs to be able to at least get the home habitable. They're able to, they don't have to worry about handling their rent payment somewhere else or hotel stay, or and plus their new mortgage that they just purchased. So just keep that in mind. And of course, if that is the case, Kristen will definitely, and I will go over that with you, and making sure that you understand how that works. But that is an option as well that a lot of borrowers are not informed about.
Yeah, thank you for adding that, because I always forget to mention that on the initial. So that's great. Yeah, that's true. And it definitely helps, because that's a lot of concern, is like, what am I going to do for the time that, we're going through the renovation if it's not something you can live in. So thank you so much for being on here, Thomas. I truly appreciate it. And if you're thinking about buying, or if you're thinking about refinancing, or somebody that can use this program, just give me a call. Let's talk through it and see if it's an option that you should consider, or maybe something that consider in the future that might be helpful for you as well.